Yes. 3, 2, 1, and we're finally recording. Thank you very much. We're live on Facebook. Well, we've been live for the last 10 minutes. But I've been struggling to get this computer to save the subsequent podcast episode. So thank you for staying tuned while I faff about and listen to Chris try to kill some time. But this is Saturday, April 18th. Chris, what number are we at now? What number? Tell us.
29. 29. We've almost completed a month's worth of podcast.
Oof, this is SHB Unfiltered, episode number 29, as Chris just said, which means we have been podcasting live on Facebook, recording, streaming on YouTube, Podbean now, all these hosting sites, 29 consecutive days. Yes, Chris. Get in, mate, get in. Almost at that big 30. But most importantly, we are the only podcast featuring people who stutter podcasting every single day during self-isolation, lockdown, quarantine. COVID-19 is still causing havoc. We're trying to keep safe, staying at home, but we thought we'd start a podcast, and 29 days later, we're still here. That's commitment.
That is commitment. It's not easy. I said it before and I will say it again. I will continue to say it is not easy to do this every day. Yeah, right. The first week, it seems like a good idea. And then you might get disheartened. You might get discouraged. No, not us at SHB. Never. We made a commitment and we're sticking to it. So that's what we do.
And also on top of that, we've actually gone that one step further. And this morning we were hosting a webinar for 1.5 hours, 2 hours at 8 in the morning. 8 in the morning on a Saturday morning. And now we're podcasting. So we're smashing this thing, Chris. We're smashing this thing.
Well, we're trying our best, and that's all everyone can ask of us. And that's all we can ask of ourselves, to really know that we've done all we can during this lockdown to try and inspire and help people take action. Trying to lead by example.
How's your day been, Chris? Go on. Tell us what CJ's been up to.
CJ has been up to today. Well, I woke up early, a lot earlier than I usually do on a Saturday morning. Got up at 7:30, 7:15 to get ready for our live Q&A this morning. Had the live Q&A, which went off on a bit of a tangent to what we originally expected. Potentially had a few technical difficulties at the beginning, but we managed to sort that out. And majority of people.
Just a few.
Yeah, just a few.
Fish money.
Just a few, but we got through that. And the live Q&A lasted longer than the last one. And I thought the last one lasted a lot longer than expected. So another good Q&A. And then after that, what did I do after that? I mowed the lawn in the front garden. And then that's it, really. Just ate. Nothing really too much to report.
Basically, you didn't do anything else for the rest of the day. You spent the rest of the day waiting for this podcast to start. Just be honest, Chris. Go on.
Well, it is the highlight for me. It's what I look forward to. So I try to fill my time with whatever I can, but I'm waiting for that clock to tick down to 6:15 so we can get ready for this. What did you do today, Ruben? Tell me some heroics. I know you got something in there.
Same thing as you this morning, webinar. Then busy working on kind of the back end stuff of the podcast that people don't see. Even Chris doesn't see sometimes. But I'm gonna show him, give him more responsibility, because he's got some things in the works coming to you soon. But mainly doing that, sorting out sound and got the intro recorded, etc., and slapping it onto the start of each of the episodes. Still uploading to Podbean, which will be our home from home soon. Midday, I was doing my exciting trip to Waitrose to get my shopping, and I walked past one of the blocks kind of on the way, just a 5-minute walk from my place, and I hear like some grunting and some like slaps on to leather, and a really familiar sound, Chris, a really familiar sound. What do you think I saw?
I don't know.
Grunting and slapping leather.
Grunting and slapping leather.
Yeah, the sound of grunting, the sound of someone slapping leather. What do you think I saw? And if anyone else listening, what do you think I saw?
I don't know. I need help with this one. I don't know.
So walking down and I hear grunting, I hear a bit of shouting, I hear this systematic slapping of leather and
A tantrum.
louder as I walk closer. Nah, Chris. I was getting louder and louder as I walked. I was curious. It sounded familiar, but I didn't know what it was, and I wanted to see it, to connect the dots in my mind. Mate, I walked past the block and I saw two guys, one with pads and one with gloves, punching, kicking. But there were some other sounds that I heard that were really familiar to me. So I walked closer. The pad holder was tight. And the striker was an English lad. He had someone filming him as well. So I went there and I was standing there behind the gates, just they took in, said, "Oh, is everything all right? Do you want to come first?" And no, I'm fine. I'm just minding my own business here. And I was watching technique and seeing how the pad got. I was thinking, man, like, you guys are 5 minutes away. I've got my new team, my new Thai boxing club. I'm gonna start right here. I can get this Thai guy to give me PTs every day, 5K run like we did back in the day, every single day. But I just stood there and stuff, and then they came up to me. They asked me, "Oh, like, do you train?" I said, "I used to. Some haven't done it in a while now." I said, "Yeah, like, just come in, and then we can get together and stuff and train." So exchanging details. But I think he like tomorrow or something, because the way he's acting. I was thinking, yeah, I'll check you guys out off the quarantine, because I shouldn't really be sweating around you at the moment, and vice versa. However, I've got their details and I will be in touch. Thanks for your message, Chris, about your internet. Don't worry if it's cutting out. We will get through it. I think we've got through worse before.
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode about 2 weeks ago when I don't know what was happening, but it just kept cutting out throughout. Yeah. And then even that one with Ahmed from Pakistan.
Yeah, we had a bit of trouble with that one. But I've got a question for you about lockdown Muay Thai. You need to have a pretty long reach to be doing pad work and practicing social distancing at the same time. How do you do that? You're on mute. I can't eat. Sorry.
It's all right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I told them, yeah, I'll check in with you guys when we are allowed. But these guys are like neighbors, so I think they were already in close proximity, and they're in a block of flats and stuff. And before I left, I took a look at the Thai guy and I told him, Chokdi. He's like, hey, and I'll see you very soon, brother. So looking forward to training with them in the near future. They literally live around the corner. How handy is that?
Yeah, perfect.
Got my new got my new gang. Come on. And then Waitrose shopping came back 8, Power season 6, episode 3 or 4. And here we are, Chris. Here we are, man.
I bet you're eager to
Another
get
day, another
power, right?
I think it's a bit annoying that there's so many episodes in season 6.
Yeah.
It seems like there's going to be quite a few fillers and stuff, because even in the other seasons, it seemed like they were trying to like elongate certain plot
Oh yeah, I forgot.
areas for no reason. Yeah.
I forgot because originally there weren't as many episodes, and it stopped in November, I think. And then in the new year, they released another 5 episodes weekly in January. So you're seeing them all at once. Whereas when I was watching it, I watched the end of season 6 in November, and I was waiting for the new year to get the last few. But yeah, it will seem long for you because you're watching them all in one go. And obviously, compared to the previous seasons, there's an extra 5 episodes.
Exactly. So we'll see how they do the pace. And yeah, that's it pretty much, dude. That's a comprehensive overview of how my day went. What's on the menu today, Chris?
On the menu today, as our Q&A this morning went so well, and we had quite a few people asking questions, and the time span went on longer than we expected. We wasn't able to answer everybody's questions. So people submitted questions beforehand. We were expecting them to turn up to the live Q&A. Unfortunately, we wasn't able to get to everybody's questions. So today on this podcast, we will be continuing and answering everybody's questions who has left one that we didn't manage to get around to.
It's very nice of you, Chris. Shall I leave you to
it? No, mate, this is a group. This is a joint effort here.
All right. I'll help you out.
We need both sets of advice, both sets of opinions, and both sets of experiences.
Cool.
So yeah.
Hit me.
Chris has also said that your Zoom keeps on freezing for him as well, Ruben.
Well,
you got to be patient with us, Chris.
Well, if Chris is saying that the problem is with your Zoom and my Zoom, then it could be just his Zoom or
no.
His
he said that it's your screen, apparently.
Oh, really? I take that personally. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. So I apologize again, and
we will continue to roll.
It just turns out better, and hopefully it turns out better in the recording. Sorry, Chris. The first question, dude.
Yeah. So, first question. So on the form here, I don't know the person's name because they've used their email as their name, and their email is
Whoa! Hold your horses. Do you think we should be revealing confidential personal information that?
No, it's not.
Have sent to us with complete trust.
Well, people usually tell us beforehand they want to keep it in confidence. So what we will do, as it goes, Ruben, well pointed out.
I think we should err on the side of caution.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Hashtag GDPR.
But I was only going to use people's first name. I wasn't going to say their whole name. I wasn't going to make it too obvious, but we won't mention names at all. Okay, so first question that we have. First question for you, Ruben, is I want to know some tips and tricks about how to control my stutter. In fact, my stutter isn't that bad, but I always find it hard to say the first word of my sentence and words that begin with A, especially when I'm stressed. So I was wondering if you could give me some tips on how I can get words out easily.
Tips and tricks. It's all the tricky word tricks, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a difficult question for me to answer because we do promote tricks.
But we need to really explain what tricks mean to us first, because for everyone else, it could mean just a different way of saying the word tip.
Yeah.
So what I'd say is, first thing is, like, you need to ask yourself, are you trying to avoid stuttering to sound more fluent? Or is it just getting the word out if it's taking really, really long? Because if you are able to kind of get through with a couple of blocks or 2-3 seconds of blocks, then it might not be the biggest deal if you're fine with that, because you seem, based on, have very much stuff. However, if you're trying to completely eliminate it, it's not going to work unless you actually a bit more transparent about it. So tell the other person or other people that you have a speech impediment, and it will actually make an immediate improvement. And that's tip number one. Any other tips, Chris?
To add to what you've just said, I think the best thing to do to put yourself at ease is you have to work out, like you said, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to avoid stuttering? Are you trying to sound fluent? Are you trying to come across as a fluent speaker? If you're trying to come across as a fluent speaker, then that will be very difficult for you to maintain and keep up, and you're going to have a raised level of anxiety. So disclosing and allowing yourself the right to stutter usually brings down the tension a lot. Another tip, not trick, another tip for you would be to look out for the SHB video program that will be launching very soon. And in that program, it will tell you, because to get from being able to say anything you want at any time, it is a long journey, and it's not something you can fix overnight. So, but the first step for me would be to realize that you're not trying to come across as a fluent speaker, giving yourself the right to stutter, and that will bring your tension down. But look out for the SHB video program. Everything will be in that. So yeah.
Perfecto. Next one, Chris. Let's keep things up, done.
So this is a good one. I'm interested to see your view on this. Can you overcome stuttering?
Yes, you can, but it in my conversations with quite a few people, they associate overcome stuttering to different things. So it purely depends on what you define overcoming stuttering as. If it's to get over the feelings that are stopping you from doing things that you want to do, then yes, you can. If it's to be completely fluent in every situation, it could be possible, but may take a couple of, or if it's simply just to really get an acceptance of yourself and be more comfortable in your own skin, then absolutely. But like I just said, it purely depends on your definition of it. But whichever definition you go for, you can get up to a certain level, but that would depend on how you take action and work on it, really. Go on, Chris. Got a better answer?
I wouldn't say a better answer, no. I would just say my opinion, which people can decide. But if you're asking me, is it possible to overcome stuttering past the age of what everybody claims to be, once you still have a stutter over, I think it's 16, then it will stay with you for life. That's what I've been told. Don't know how true that is, but I have personally met someone who stuttered well into his 20s, and he no longer stutters.
He's a gangster, isn't he?
So that, for me, was amazing to see. Yes, he did try different programs, but he doesn't implement any of the tools and techniques that he's learned on any of those programs. And he does speak with spontaneous fluency, and he never really blocks, as far as I know personally. But that's why it's very important what you said, Ruben. You have to define as well, what does overcoming stuttering mean to you? I'm assuming from that question that they mean you no longer block and you can say any word you want in any situation. That's what I'm assuming. The short answer is it is possible. The long answer for me is, how realistic is it to believe that it is possible? So it's not impossible, it can be achieved, but for me personally, I feel like it's possible to achieve, but with a lot of work, not just overnight. You really have to put yourself through the paces in order to get there.
Yeah, so if you listen to that, whoever provided us for that question, work hard.
Yeah.
Give yourself a few years. Don't expect instant results with minimal work, especially. CJ, next one.
This is a good question.
So far, they've all been good. Every time you read the question, you say it's good. I can't. I don't know.
They're getting better and better.
Fair enough.
Okay. What do you aspire to achieve when it comes to your stutter? What do you aspire to achieve when it comes to your stutter?
I don't really aspire to achieve anything with my stutter. I'm trying to actually understand what they may have meant.
Yeah.
Question, because I'm sure it's something like in spite of your stutter, or maybe how much you want to achieve with it.
What do you aspire to achieve when it comes to your stutter? So the way I would answer that personally is, I'm aspiring to achieve that I would like to become a public speaker, but a cemented public speaker, not someone that does speeches here and there and can talk in public if he has to. That's what I would like to achieve. So I'm going to take it as despite having a stutter. I'm going to add that to the end of the question and replace when it comes to a stutter.
Yeah, that probably makes a lot more sense than what do you want to achieve with your stutter. I don't know. So yeah, I can relate as well. It would be in the future. Plan is to actually turn kind of speaking into a career opportunity as well. So and it's freezing. Just got a message. Apparently my internet connection is unstable. UBT. But Chris, you got a message, a very nice message in the feed. Shall I read out to you?
Yes, please, go ahead.
You sound amazing, CJ. So proud of you.
That's my good friend Viv. Me and Viv have been friends since kids, year 8 at Bill High School. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you very
much.
Nice message. Thank you for tuning in.
Very nice message.
Really nice to hear from you. Look forward to seeing you after this lockdown is over. And Eddie and Jamie. Can't wait to see Jamie, really.
I sound all right as well, but I'll leave that one to you, Chris. Next question. Go on. Let's keep it rolling, dude.
Next question. If you could turn back the hands of time and live without having a stutter, would you think your life would have been different? Yes. Yeah,
of course. We wouldn't be on this podcast right now. And at the moment, this is like the best thing in the world. I start panicking if I didn't have this right now.
Yeah.
Well, would have been
sorry?
hour in the first week of lockdown. I would have finished power ages ago, and I'd be left stranded. What do I do between 6:30 and 7:30 every day? I would not know what to do. I would not have met you. I would not have met AO. I would not have seen the dance moves. I would not have heard you talk about basketball all day. Be helpless. CJ.
Yeah, I think for you though, Ruben, it wouldn't have been too different in terms of your career route, in terms of your job, because you've never really let your stutter dictate that to you.
Yeah, but it could seem like that now, looking back, because of where I'm now. But if I took you back to kind of the formative period when I was kind of going through all the applications and just graduating and everything, very, very different, because you always doubt yourself going into these situations. But they should really be like opportunities to like showcase who you are and just go in there and smash it, because that's the type of person that I am with everything else. She was always like, and no, probably I got here in the end, but it may have been a lot easier if I didn't have it. However, I do appreciate the journey and the experiences it's given me. So thank you. What about you, Chris?
I do think my life would be completely different. I think, well, I like to think it would be, but this is the thing. When you get good speech, you think like you haven't done this, and this because of your speech. And then you get good speech and you realize, perhaps it wasn't that. Perhaps I genuinely didn't want to do that, or that's not me. But I do feel like if I didn't stutter, I feel like my life would have been a lot different in terms of the relationships I was able to build, perhaps a lot of the friendship groups that I would be in, the job that I do would be completely different. Perhaps I would have been able to go further in basketball because my communication skills would have been a lot better. So I do think a lot of things would have been very different for me. But I'm not disappointed how it turned out. So it's all good. I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know AO. I wouldn't be part of Stop Holding Back. And I wouldn't have achieved some of the things I've achieved. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It would have been different, but it's still good. Okay. We're going on.
Keep going.
Huh?
Just got another message in the Facebook feed, Chris. Apparently we both sound great. I think you're asking for compliments from your friends.
Mate, how they found it. I haven't shared it on my personal Facebook, but they're supporting SHB.
It does feel good. Cool. Thank you very much, dude.
Cool.
It means a lot. Next one, dude.
Next question. Have you allowed your stutter to hold you back in certain situations? For example, career choice, social interactions, opportunities. We sort of answered that question with our last answer.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Elaborating on it, Ruben. Go ahead.
Yeah, like especially at the beginning, you do doubt yourself, and I think even if you're tackling a situation, when you doubt yourself, you start to actually damage your opportunity to perform well. So that could be seen as holding back. I didn't really avoid, but I didn't give myself the best chance to succeed because of that mentality. But yeah, like that's all part of the process, because if I didn't feel like that, then I wouldn't have actually gone through change to turn that around and actually be how I am now, where I'm just kind of attacking a lot of opportunities that come my way and seeking ones that aren't there yet, but I'm trying to find them. So get that from actually going through an experience to turn the old mentality into the new mentality. And don't get me wrong, I was fairly confident, extroverted and all that kind of stuff, but when it came to speech, it was always, I was trying to sidestep through things as opposed to attacking it. But now I'm attacking things, as Chris knows well.
Yeah.
What about you?
Literally attacking things as well sometimes. The pads. Yeah. Yeah, I allowed it to hold me back a lot. I mean, people don't actually realize how much I allowed it to hold me back. People think that despite having a stutter, you still did everything you wanted to do and you still done this and played basketball and moved abroad. Yeah, but within what I did, I wasn't doing it to the fullest, if you understand what I'm saying. So I used to think that good things weren't really going to happen to me, but they were going to happen to someone else. And I used to go in with that attitude to everything that I went into. So it's almost a half-hearted attitude and a half-hearted effort, expecting that you're not going to get the result you want. And I used to relate that to speech. If I have a stutter, then that's a really bad thing. So nothing else is good. Nothing else good is going to happen for me because I have a stutter, and I'm not going to be able to create that or get that good thing or seize that opportunity or that moment because my stutter's going to get in the way. And like you, I had the same mentality. So I was trying to do things. I was trying to pursue dreams, but I was holding back the whole time. And I was wanting people to do things for me when really I should have been trying to do them myself off of my own back. I was trying to get help. So yeah, it did used to hold me back, and it dictated my career choices and everything. Okay, on to the next question. If you were a famous celebrity with a huge following, how would you raise awareness about stuttering?
I think we spoke about it briefly.
Just imagine, Ruben, put yourself in the shoes of you are the host of SHB Unfiltered podcast and it blows up worldwide. You are now a celebrity. Everybody knows who you are. What are you going to do to raise the profile of stuttering?
Pretty easy. I'd go on Love Island. No, I probably won't do that actually. I'd get in trouble here. I'd get in quite a lot of trouble here. But as in, like, with that question, so we did cover off certain things about that, about how you could be one of two types in the public light. You could either be someone who had it, who doesn't have it anymore, or someone who still has it. Now, is that question more for someone who has it or someone who had it? Because I think they're two different things.
It doesn't specify in the question, Ruben, to be honest. But let's assume that, or you can give an answer for both. But let's assume, no. Let's assume that you have it still.
Yeah, I think just talking about it in like some of the biggest forums in the world would be a big help. I'd say probably even going as far as avoiding talking about it at stuttering events for now, but going to mainstream, like massive forums. And yeah, but if they still have it, and it depends on what they do. If they're still scared of talking about it, then they're still scared. Like Mr. Bean, he mentions it, but he doesn't talk about it a lot. So he would be an example of someone who maybe isn't putting himself fully out there. I do remember when he was on Top Gear once, and you could see it cropping up, but he didn't actually go out to actually kind of put it on the table and say. So first thing would be just to like come out and just talk about it openly. And I think it's more powerful if they still stutter, and it's obvious, as opposed to like, fair enough with Julia Roberts and people that they stuttered before, but that's not good for people who stutter now. What? So you wait until, as in, it sends a message out that you should only do that when you've overcome and become fluent, and then you can actually talk about it. I think it would be more impactful, more relevant for people who stutter if it came from someone currently stuttering.
Yeah, but usually, yeah, okay. No, what I was going to say is usually they haven't reached the highest level of fame. So it's only once they reach the highest level of fame, and I think that's what the question is asking, because you've got a huge following now. But yeah, I do agree. I would be putting myself in every chat show, every TV program that I can be a part of that is non-stuttering related. I would love to play my part in in charitable organizations and helping the stuttering community. But in terms of creating awareness, I think it would be a lot more effective creating awareness in the mainstream rather than just to a stuttering audience. So I would actually make it a topic of the beginning of every interview that I did, talk about your experience with stuttering. That's another way to disclose as well. Now everybody's aware of it. And I would put it up on my social media and Instagram now and again. If you've got millions of followers and you put a post up about stuttering, then obviously millions of people are going to see it. And over time, people are going to be more and more aware. That's how I would approach it.
I'd probably also go on Soccer Aid as well and bang a few goals.
Yeah, with that.
That would increase awareness.
Left foot of yours, score
straight from the corner. Straight from the corner.
Yeah. Next.
Go on, Chris.
Okay, I think we've had this in a previous podcast, but we'll do it again anyway. Why do you think stuttering isn't taken seriously? Why does it seem as though it's okay to openly joke about it, even though people are really suffering?
Someone's not been watching our podcast, Chris. That sounds like they have not been watching our podcast.
They might be a new subscriber, Ruben. You've got to cut them some slack.
Now, if you can't watch our podcast and take our podcast seriously, how do you expect people to take stuttering seriously? Come on. Come on. If you can't take each other seriously, then how do you expect other people to take you seriously? But, Chris.
No, come on. Let's go, Ruben.
What do you think, first of all? Go on. What do you think, Chris? What do you think, Chris? Ben Russell is proud of you, brother. FYI.
Oh, Ben Russell. Now, I used to play basketball with Ben, so he has seen me struggling at my worst. He was with me through a bit of my basketball journey. He's a great guy, and he's moved over to America now, living the American dream. And I need to catch up with him. I haven't spoken to him for a while. So cheers, Ben. Good to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. Cool. So to get to the question, why do you think stuttering isn't taken seriously? I think because Stutter is trying to hide it. I've said it before, we are our own worst enemy in raising awareness and letting people know it's not acceptable to joke about it. I think because it's not spoken about and we're not as open about it, people do not understand the mental health side of it. People do not realize how much of an impact it has on us because we're hiding it. We make out we can get through life. We make out that we can sidestep every situation and we will be okay. It's really not a problem. But deep down it is. And we know that it's ruining opportunities for us. It's ruining the path that we want to take and making us take another path. It's really affecting our mental health. It causes anxiety, depression. There's people that become suicidal over this. So it really is not a joke. I think we as stutterers need to be more open about it, need to take on more speaking challenges, need to start applying for jobs that we may believe that we can't do, and really put ourselves out there more rather than trying to sidestep it, hide, avoid, and just try and get through life as easy as we can. The more we do to advertise the fact that we stutter, the more people are going to be aware of it, the more they're going to understand it, and the better it will be for everyone. There's still so many people out there that do not know really what a stutter is and how it affects you, and how many people stutter. I've got an employee who before me had never met anyone with a stutter in their life. So this is what we have to do. We have to be more open. We have to speak about it. We have to push it. And I do think because celebrities are not pushing it in the mainstream enough and talking about it enough, that could be another reason why the masses are not aware of it and they still think it's okay to joke. But it is the only disability really that is acceptable to use as a joke, right, Ruben?
Potentially, but there are others in that same category that aren't really fully understood or taken seriously, like it's also kind of treated similarly, but it's actually a genuine condition similar to stuttering because it is linked to the neurowiring in your brain. And even I'd go as far as to say autism as well. Because yes, people are aware of it, people know like kind of generally or just bits and bobs, but I don't think people fully appreciate that there's a whole spectrum and it isn't just like people on the end that are autistic. And then even when you I've heard people casually throw it around that it's just if they are being kind of maybe a bit different with their responses to questions or social interactions. That phrase, are they on the spectrum? But that can actually, people throw that around as an insult to someone, where it's actually a genuine thing. There is a spectrum of severities, call it, or yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it, of autism. But it is used as a slur really to people. I think people probably throw that around a lot more than stuttering. It's probably a lot more vindictive when people kind of describe people in that way. With stuttering, is a bit more like recently, generally like it's more like a playful dig, and yes, it's still a dig, but it isn't as vindictive as saying to someone, "Oh, like that guy down there is on the spectrum," just and in that tone. So yeah, I don't agree with you, Chris.
No problem. No, and I appreciate what you're saying there. I appreciate that because I have also heard that. You know, they walk past someone and they may get into a conversation with someone and the person didn't respond how they thought they were going to respond, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, he's on the spectrum." Yeah, that's not right. That's not cool. It's not cool. So yeah, there are other disabilities. Thank you for pointing that out for me, Ruben. That still seems socially acceptable to make a joke of. Okay, so moving on to the next question, Ruben. If stuttering was well represented on a bigger platform to raise awareness, do you think it will motivate stutterers to stop holding back?
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
Yes.
Yes, I think it will. It'll make people a bit more or give an environment for people to actually open up, hopefully, because we do know that there are still like quite a few people out there who can turn anything and everything into some kind of joke, and people may even find that offensive and retreat further if that's the response they hear at work. If they haven't fully come out as someone who stutters, the kind of vibe at work or in their social environment the next day after someone famous comes out, and someone who stutters, if that is taken negatively, then it could work the other way around. But I think that any type of disclosure by someone famous will always be a step forward, even if there's like a few bad like eggs in the basket causing trouble. It would always be a step forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure you agree, right?
I mean, we're talking on if it was well represented on a bigger platform here to raise awareness, but look at our platform. Look how many people we've motivated to take action and stop holding back. So yes, 100%. If we can do it, and imagine if the whole world knew what stuttering was and it was being represented on a platform that big, how it would encourage and motivate a lot of stutterers to live life to the full. Yeah, that's 100%. Yes. Okay, next question. How did you embrace your stutter? How did you embrace your stutter?
Probably getting involved in communities, stuttering communities, meeting other people similar age to me, just people who are cool and people open as well. They encouraged me to actually open up. And as we all know, it's easier to do things in teams. And that was my first steps, because if it wasn't for kind of meeting those people at that time in my life, then I would not have taken those steps then. I'm thankful that I did. And journey, which brings us here, Chris. What about you, dude?
How did I embrace it? To be honest, at the beginning, I didn't embrace it. I didn't embrace it at all. And it took for me to be shown how to embrace it, but that there's no issue in embracing it. And embracing it enhances the possibility of you progressing. But I had to be taught that. I had to be shown that, someone led by example, because I wasn't prepared to embrace it. I wasn't prepared to accept it. I wasn't prepared to accept that I would have to stutter for the rest of my life at that time. Once I started to begin working on my speech, that's when I learned how to embrace it. I wasn't able to get that one experience and say, oh, as it goes now, I'm going to embrace my stutter. It didn't work like that for me. As I started to work on my speech, I embraced it more and more, and I realized that it's not such a negative thing as I thought. I think that's also a very important point and a very important thing for people to realize. It's not about embracing it first, working on it after, or you can only work on it once you've embraced it. I think it's something that you learn as you work on your speech, but you have to be motivated to want to improve your speech at the beginning, and then you will be able to embrace it. If you just want to pick up something, tools and techniques to get you fluent, then you're never going to embrace your stutter. And until you embrace your stutter, you will struggle to make progress.
Incredible.
So, working on my speech allowed me to embrace my stutter.
Really good, Chris, really good.
Next question.
Go on, mate.
I've been on 2 dates, 2 dates. Both times my stammer was gone. I've been on 2 dates. Both times my stammer was gone. Have you guys had similar or different experiences?
I've been on 2 dates. Both times my stammer was gone. So.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that they were able to speak completely fluently on both the dates.
Yeah, I've actually had that a few times. It's typically been on a first date, really. Sometimes second date as well, but I just find that the closer I got, the more crop up, and then I'd be off. So, so I think initially at the start, when everyone's guard is up, it's easier to actually keep things held down. But when when the stakes rise and things get a bit more real, that's when it used to crop up for me. So see what happens on that person's third or fourth date. I don't know. What about you, Chris?
I've had exactly the same experience as that. It's no secret. Everybody knows if you've watched previous podcasts or speeches that I've made about my journey with stuttering and experiences. I was able to hide it from my girlfriend for 6 months before she even realized that I had a stutter. And it was actually somebody else that told her that I had a stutter, and she had to ask me, do you have a stutter? So what I realized was that when I wasn't giving myself the right to be my real self, I wouldn't say I was fluent. I'd say I became even better at avoiding words and swapping words. So my skill level went through the roof to the point that people really didn't know I had a stutter. And it was only me and Charlie in the restaurant or wherever, and I was able to order her food. I would use little tricks to get out of it, or ask Charlie what she wanted, and then I would show the waiter the menu and point to it, and she wouldn't realize. But yeah, as it got further into the relationship and we were spending a lot more time together, and once she found out, you know, I opened up about having a stutter, that's when it got really bad for me, because I was still trying to go for fluency, and that is a dangerous game, as we know. So I've had exactly the same experience as that on the first 2 dates. But yeah, report to us and let us know what the next one are like, what happens in the third and the fourth and the fifth. We'll be interested to hear how they go. Ruben, next question.
Go on, hit me.
Is stuttering hereditary?
Is stuttering hereditary? Yes. Well, there is a genetic predisposition to it, as we are aware, because there's so many people who have it within their families. So there's some people have it, and uncles, parents, grandparents, siblings, etc. So there is some kind of genetic component there. However, the reason why everyone who stutters may have different experiences is because the variable here is the person. So depending on how your environment is or how the people around you are, you could either have like okay experiences, really bad experiences, or really good experiences, even whilst stuttering. So yeah, it is hereditary, but the extent of how it kind of affects your life is up to you. That's what I've always believed. So if you're into cards, Chris, when you play poker, for example, you are not going to get pocket kings or pocket aces on every hand, are you? You play with the hand that you are dealt, and you either do well depending on how well you play those cards. And that's the way I operate like that. Well, what about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. Genetics may play a part in it. I know for me personally, I thought for a long time I was the only one that stuttered in my entire family. But I found out more recently that my uncle had a bit of a stutter up until he was about 12 years old. But he grew out of it. But I do completely agree with you on the point you raised, that just because that sets out someone else's life in your family, it doesn't mean that your life will be set out in the same way. And it's up to you to decide what action you're going to take and what you are going to do about it and how you are going to live your life. You can't base your life on what has happened to somebody else and how they dealt with it and the challenges and complications it caused for them. You have to set your own path, make your own rules, and attack it in your own way and deal with it in your own way. So yeah, I do and I don't, just like you, Ruben. We agree.
Yeah, it's been a bit boring, Shimon, because we've everything. It's a bit dry, isn't it? We need some like really controversial topics on these questions, guys. Something salty. It's something that we can really and take each other out on, because it's really easy to agree with each other. Really easy. I need an argument, a debate of some sort to really get that rush. Come on, Chris. Have you got anything salty?
We got no, these are the last two questions, but no, they're not what you're looking for, Ruben. So the next question is, can stutterers be musicians? Well, yes, because there's loads.
Yeah, next.
Definitely musicians.
Yeah. What's the last question?
What, you got nothing to add? Yeah.
I don't know. What do you say to that?
Well, they can be musicians because everybody knows that stutterers never stutter when they sing, for one. And you don't have to speak when you're playing a musical instrument, right? Unless there is one, no. So, yes, they definitely can be. And many people have proved it. Gareth Gates has proved it. I'm sure there's many others that have proved it. So, yes, for sure.
Man like Gareth. Big G.
Yep.
Man like Gareth.
Man like Gareth. Okay, the last
question.
one.
Come on.
Ruben,
They're very good.
This one. This
They're
is
very
right
good.
on the street.
You sure?
Can stutterers be good public speakers?
Oof. 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 Oh, I take offense.
Tell him, Ruben, tell him.
Take offense. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And I've always been told for public speaking, you only need one thing, and one thing only. Do you know what that is, Chris?
What?
A voice. A voice. If you've got a voice, you speak.
And we might stutter, but we still have a voice.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to end the podcast today, just with that final statement, end it. But there isn't much more we can add to that. There isn't much more. Nothing much more. Chris, any parting thoughts? Can't hear you.
Sorry. The only thing holding us back is ourselves.
And the mute button.
And the mute button. Clever, Ruben. Clever.
29 episodes in, and we have been a bit sloppy with the mute button in this episode, isn't it? The two of us.
I know. But hey, it happens. It happens. So yeah, thank you for your questions, guys. We managed to get through them all in 2 Q&A sessions, not 1.
We smashed it. Today's been really, really good for questions, for engagement with the community, engagement with people who are helping us and giving us positive reinforcement to actually keep going. So thank you very much for taking the effort to drop in and see how we're doing here. We hope you are actually enjoying what we're saying, regardless of how long you can tune in for. So, I've seen some people stay for a minute and go. So we appreciate you guys as well. And most importantly, Chris, thank you as well for actually coming on this journey with me. It's been, I think we've actually taken ourselves to a different level of communication in that 29 days. It's been a really special month. I understand there's so much going on in the outside world, and so much fear and illness and people. What we can do is actually follow our purpose and actually try to make something positive from this time we have. Chris, thank you very much for making this commitment with me. It's I couldn't have done without you.
No worries, and I look forward to the next 29. So let's do it. Stay committed. And thank you to everyone who left comments. Thank you for people that come on, even if it was for a minute or so, and then quickly ducked out. But we appreciate you all, and thank you very much. Ruben, let's wrap this up. And
always remember, if regardless of if things are going well, things are not going so well, if your speech isn't in the place you want it to, and even if it isn't about speech, you are not in the place you want to be, always remember, stop holding back.